What is up, hockey fans? We're on to the conference finals. I'm joined always by Kevin Lind, hockey aficionado, Notre Dame grad, NHL draft pick. Not a big deal. Welcome back, Kevin. How we doing?
I'm good, Stony. How are you?
You know, I'm a nervous puddle of sports mess because of all the things that are going on right now. All my teams are in the postseason right now, and it's a terrifying time every night. A lot of anxiety-induced panic attacks. It's great. Good problem to have, like we said off the air right before we joined. But here to talk some hockey. Got conference finals, 4 teams left. It's the final four. I'm excited. I'm real excited.
Yeah, I was thinking about this beforehand. I think we have the best four teams in the. We know Dallas is right. I mean, hand up
Yep.
to me. I've picked against them twice now, but the run that they're on, they have to play Vegas, the defending Cup champions, and then you go through Colorado the way that they did. So, you know that they were the number one seed for a reason, and they've already gone through the gauntlet. So that matchup, listen, I know you have McDavid and everything. We'll start there. We'll start with Dallas and Edmonton, but they just haven't. Edmonton just hasn't been impressive. You're relying on Bouchard. I think he's on like Paul Coffey esque run right now with like over a point and a half a game or something. Where's the secondary scoring? Because if you're Dallas, I'll take this all day. I'll give up 2 goals to McDavid and Draisaitl with an assist to Bouchard, and I'll beat you 3-2. I'll beat you 4-2 with how disciplined they are. Edmonton's got to wake up. We're looking at them every year, and when are they going to make that leap and help McDavid out? And it just hasn't happened. It's like those two guys are playing, by themselves. And like I said, now Bouchard has come along and he's playing great, but you can't do it with 3 guys or 4 guys. Hyman, is scoring as well, but against Dallas, you cannot beat that team with 3 or 4 guys. So if I'm Dallas, I'm licking my chops saying we just gave it to Colorado every single game. We dictated the pace of play. We dictated the style of play, and Colorado was giving them everything. If you are Dallas, you stick to the same game plan. You understand that McDavid and Draisaitl might score 1-2, but like I said, you take that. You take that all day.
Yeah, the Stars are easily the deepest team in the West. Florida could argue that they're one of the deepest teams in the league as well. New York Rangers are also incredibly deep. So on the West side, that's left, obviously, it's the Oilers and Stars. So the Stars are deep. I think the most important part of this series is just not take penalties. Like, just don't get penalized. Don't go into the box. Don't let McDavid and Draisaitl get on the ice at the same time because they separated their lines at the last
Yep.
few games against Vancouver. So now they're on separate lines, which is the best move that they could do, separating those two guys. Because if you shut down the top line with McDavid and Draisaitl, then they have nothing left. Separating those two, you get a little bit more. You get a little bit more of depth. It's not anything crazy, obviously, but separating those two and letting them create on their own is a good move on their coaching staff. But if Dallas can get healthy, if we can get Rope Hintz back after game 1 or 2, whatever it may be, and he's just 80%, 75% Rope Hintz, that's better than not having Rope at all. And yeah, they're just so deep. Ottinger has been lights out. Just he looks incredible. If the defense is helping him out, then he's going to stop a majority of the shots. Obviously, against Colorado, you play a game and a half in game 6, and you win the game twice, but he continued to make stops in overtime and paid off in the end. And Colorado's a way deeper team than the Oilers, and Colorado wasn't incredibly deep either. So I'm excited for the series. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but I have a very good feeling heading into this series as a Stars fan. And yeah, the Oilers, they're scary on the penalty, on the PP. So if you could just stay off of that, they're not as scary. Their goaltending isn't as good as Ottinger. It's going to be interesting to see how they play. I'm sure Pete DeBoer is just don't take penalties. That's the one thing going in. Control the puck. Don't take penalties. We'll win the series. That's basically what he's saying in the locker room, right?
100%. It really is that simple. I mean, it's controlling your emotions, seeing, you see the finish line, you see you're almost at the Stanley Cup. Don't look ahead. But like you said, you got to control your emotions and stay out of the box because this is the only way that this team can beat you. And you have to do it for 4 games. You know what I mean? So Dallas, they have their work cut out for them, but it really is that simple. Stay out of the box and don't give these guys extra chances to score because they will. And that's the only way that they're going to stay in this series the way that I see it. And it really is. And How excited are you for Otter for the United States in what is it, 2026 for the Olympics? That guy's going to win us a gold medal one day, and we like that. We like to hear that because it's been a long time. He's been unbelievable, unbelievable. But
And you also got Jason Robertson there, probably on the top line on that USA team. It's going to be two stars kind of at the head, and if Joe Pavelski's still alive and kicking, maybe he's on the fourth line. But and after that Colorado series, I don't know how much left he's got. It's
yeah, I'm
a little bit
interested
of a
to
problem.
see Ryan Suter, another older type guy, and see how he
Yeah,
can handle some of this speed. But you know, they've been doing well. They've been doing good, and I can't knock them. I picked against them twice, and look what they did to me. So
do it
that's the
again,
only thing.
please.
It's always fun to see McDavid. Hopefully, I'll get up there for a game. It's always nice to see him in person. But you know, in the comments here, we got Courtney saying Stars in 6. I think that's probably accurate. I think that's a good call, and it's starting to feel like 1999 again in Dallas, isn't it?
Yeah, they're the first ever team in the playoffs to beat the defending Stanley Cup champions and the Cup champions from the year before in back-to-back series. So if you can beat Vegas in 7, Colorado in 6, where they could have probably beat Colorado in 4 games. Honestly,
Yeah, I agree.
they had a rough game 1 in overtime. They let in 3 goals in the third period. They're up 3-0. Could have won that game, and then the game, what was that, game 5? I think it was game 5. Colorado just comes in and just kind of steamrolled them in the second and third periods, and they just put pucks on net, and Ottinger just wasn't as sharp as he normally was, and that's what it was. But
It's going to
yeah,
happen. You know,
yeah, it
you're
happens.
playing against, like you said, the Cup before winners. Those guys are veteran laden. They're not just going to roll over. You know, and it's going to happen in a best of 7 series that you're going to lay an egg, right? You're going to have an off game or not have your best game, but. The Stars, I mean, people forget a lot of those Stars guys went to the Cup Finals too. It was COVID, wasn't it? But still,
Yeah,
it was it was a Cup Finals. So, um, they're veteran guys on that side too. Sagan's won one, right? He was 19 years old, but he still
yeah,
won one. Jamie Benn's been in one. Otter's looking like he's going to win one, and like I said, a gold medal soon. So it's starting to smell like 1999, and the only thing in the way is Connor McDavid, which is the best player in the game. So I think I don't see the Stars blowing them out, right? I don't see this being 5-1 games or anything, but I do think, like we're getting in the comments here, I think it's Stars in 6. So that's what I'm going to go with, and hopefully I'm not the jinx because now I'm picking them. So
yeah. I hope you pick against them. That'd be great. But yeah, I mean, they shut down McDavid or Connor. Nathan McKinnon. I'm getting all my stars mixed up there, but they shut
yeah,
him down essentially. Like he only had 3 points in the series.
and
Makar had
Makar too.
They shut down Makar for 5 games. Essentially, he had a 2 or 3 point night. One of those games where they kind of just put the steamrollers on us and bucks on net. So if you can shut down those 2 guys, you can shut down McDavid and Draisaitl to an extent. Obviously, they're going to get their points as long as you can limit their points. If they're getting 1 point a night, then you're feeling good.
Right.
So I like Stars in 6. My heart tells me Stars in 5, but my head's telling me Stars in 6. So I'll roll with Stars in 6. Stuart Skinner reminds me of Joe Rogers. Yeah, that's about it. The Oilers, I mean, congrats for making it to the Western Conference Finals again. You did it against Colorado. What did Colorado win in 4 or 5 that year? 22? They just killed them.
Yeah.
And they're just not deep.
He's going to win one, McDavid, eventually, right? Like they all do. I mean, Ovi did it, but you just wonder, like, how much longer this goes on. Now, we're getting a little ahead of our skis, too.
Yeah.
The series isn't over, but you wonder. I mean, it's tough with how much do those guys make? How much do him and Draisaitl make? And you see it in Toronto and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not always the best recipe to have the best guy. And sometimes it takes, them getting a little bit older, more mature, and kind of changing their game, right? Ovi wasn't the same player when they won one. So, I feel for the guy because he's so good and he's so fun to watch and he's so electric and he makes it's like Sidney Crosby. He makes everybody that plays with him better, that much better, exponentially better. You can put anybody out there with him, and they're going to be a better hockey player. He's smart. He knows where to be. He knows when to get you the puck. And, I hope one day he wins one because he deserves it. He's the best player in the world. So,
Yeah, and it's nothing against Connor McDavid taking the biggest contract in the NHL because he very much deserves that. The problem
Right.
is the salary cap. He deserves the 15, $16 million, whatever he gets, but the salary cap's what, 80, $83 million? Like, you're taking a huge chunk out of it for one player when you got 12 skaters, 6 defensemen, and goalies. Like, you can't take that much money. Look at Crosby over the years. Like, he took $8.7 million forever, just forever. He's like,
Yeah.
and it's the superstition, ADHD, autism, whatever you want to call it. Like, he had to have 87 in his contract. Like, I mean, he
It was
does
good for the
that.
team. Yeah.
He does that, and they win how many ever cups? Like, they won a shitload of cups because Crosby wasn't taking 10, 12, $14 million. And
Yeah.
not
I mean, you
faulting Connor McDavid for that, but
look at the other 3 teams. They're all depth teams. You know what I mean? Like the Stars are a huge depth team. The Rangers are a depth team. And the Panthers are a depth team. They're not a team with, 3 top guys that are making 75% of your salary cap, over 50% of your salary cap at least. So,
right.
they're the Oilers are probably the 4th favorite to win at this point with the recipe that they're going with. So you have to get depth. It doesn't matter if we saw Matthews score 70 this year. It doesn't matter Hyman, he scored 50 this year when you get to the playoffs. Now, Hyman is having a great playoffs, but still, it's like we talked about. There's like 3 or 4 guys on that team where if we just shut them down, you're licking your chops as a defenseman. I have one assignment. I know that these other guys, our lines are better. They're going to take care of their business. Okay, my objective is follow Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, but if that's your sole objective, it makes it a lot more clear and it makes it a lot easier for the rest of the guys. If you have no depth, if you have no, depth scoring. The Blackhawks is my reference because I watched them growing up. The teams in 10, 13, and 15 that won Stanley Cups, they would just roll 4 lines and they would just beat every their 4th line could compete against other teams' first lines and know that they're not going to get scored on. And then who do you put against Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane in our first line? You have nobody. So it's the teams that have the depth and things like that. And obviously goaltending, we see Stuart Skinner reminds me of Joe Rogers. Yeah, he's getting pulled. He played good in the first 2 series or the first series, but that is it going to last? He doesn't have necessarily the track record of that lasting. So,
and
Vancouver had a big issue.
Vancouver had just nobody playing for them. All their top guys just were no shows essentially. Pettersson's just not there. Quinn Hughes is a little dinged up. Like and then Brock Besser obviously doesn't play Game 7 due to a blood clot. Hopefully he gets better in the offseason. We don't have to deal with that in the future for him. But they didn't have anybody, and they pushed it to 7 games. And
I know, and they almost come back in that game too. And Quinn Hughes, I mean, I know him personally. I coach his brother Jack. He's not a big fella. I mean, he's played 100 games this year. It's going to take your toll. That's another team that look out for them because Rick Tocchet is an amazing coach. They weren't supposed to be the team that they were this year, and they had a home ice advantage over Edmonton. They were a better team than Edmonton. So hats off to them. They were unbelievable. Rick Tocchet does it again. He was great in Arizona. My friend Vincent Estroza played for him and loved him. He was great. He was great. That team pushed it to the limit, like you said, took the best player in hockey with, missing Besser. So hats off to them. Look out for them next year because they're going to be a real big problem.
Yeah, and if they hang on to Zadorov, he's like a cult hero now in Vancouver. So
he was unbelievable. I'm pretty sure I was out of Chicago. I wasn't living in Chicago when he was there, but like they hated him. The team was so bad, but like I felt bad for the guy. But and how about the rise of Artur Shilovs? I mean, unbelievable.
He was stopping literally everything, and the defense couldn't help him out. Worth a shit.
That's what you need in playoffs is a guy like that. And I mean, he made his career. If Vancouver, you have Demko situation, but somebody's going to sign Seeloffs now. If he leaves or gets traded or whatever, you have an unbelievable playoffs like that. Somebody's going to come and get you. So hats off to him too.
Yeah, and when you look at the Stars' 4th line, you got Craig Smith, Sam Steele, and Radek Faksa. Not a sexy line in any way, shape, or form, but they just wreak havoc and they get pucks on net, and sometimes they go in. Like Faksa had a great goal in Vegas series. Steele and Smith have just been dogs. They just run all over the place and hit people and try to get the puck, and they get a lot of free rushes as the 4th line. And then you pair that with Tanev on the back end. Tanev just shut down everybody and anybody he was playing against on Colorado, and if that's his assignment, he's on the McDavid line. He's just going to be out there every time with McDavid. Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
And then you put Haskinen and Harley on the Draisaitl line. Okay, I'm good with that. Like it's a very confident feeling heading into it. But I guess I'm going to go optimistically confident. Like
yeah. Tanev,
they're deep.
unbelievable deadline acquisition getting Tanev. He's been great, but that, kind of goes back to my point. If you have an assignment like that for Tanev, dude, don't worry about scoring. Don't worry about, any of your offensive side. It makes it so much easier and so much clearer. Hey, I know that I don't have to get up in the rush. Coach doesn't want me activating. Coach doesn't want me blowing my, energy because I have to play the best player in the world. It makes it incredibly, incredibly easy and straightforward for the defenseman. So that's what I'm saying is like, I know he's the best player in the world, but hey, we don't need, Evan Bouchard to play defense and offense against him. You can't do that. He's going to
Yeah.
outgun you. He's going to outrun you. And it's really hard. That's where he's going to expose you. But if you have someone like Tans, every time he's on the ice, go play defense against him, follow him around, whatever we're doing, man on man, whatever we have to do, follow him around and don't just get the puck out. Get pucks out, chip pucks out. Don't worry about being a hero. I would suspect that that's what the Stars do against them.
Yeah, and obviously Wyatt Johnson has had an incredible playoff so far. Ottinger's been pretty much nails in most games. Like they're two of the best players, but Tanev, you could argue, with only like 2 or 3 points in the playoffs, has been the Stars' most important and best player on the ice at every game. It's incredible.
Yeah, you're talking to a stay-at-home defenseman. That's most of the guys that I'm looking at, right? Those are the guys you can go ahead and score goals and all this stuff, but the guys that shut those guys down, to me, those are the most important. Is the goaltending and the defenseman, especially come playoff time.
Yeah.
Especially come playoff time.
So it's going to be a fun series. It's kicking off tomorrow night. This is Wednesday, obviously, when we're filming this, but game 1 tomorrow night in Dallas, home ice again. I mean, they won all 3 games on the road in Colorado, the best home ice in hockey. Won all 3 games. Incredible.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Just
I know that they
nuts.
were the best road team
Mm-hmm.
in the league too during the regular season, but to win all 3 on the road, that was an incredible feat. I had to put my foot in my mouth. So again, hats off to them. That the only thing you're hoping is that it wasn't, you weren't too high after those 2 series wins, right?
Right.
Because those are incredible, incredible feats, and you're only halfway there. So, but hats off to the Stars. I mean, they took it to them. I was
Yeah.
wrong.
So we're both taking the Stars in the Western Conference. It's going to be a fun series. Best player in the world versus the deepest team in the world right now. So should be a fun one. I hope it doesn't last too long, but I hope the games are at least entertaining for the rest of the people. Or we could just take 4 blowouts, and I'll take that, just a sweep where it's 5-0 every game, and I'm good. Like I'd be fine with that. I know the rest of the world wouldn't, but I'd be okay with that. But that's the Western Conference. We'll move over to the Eastern Conference Finals. Got the Panthers and the New York Rangers, the 2 best teams in the East. I was rooting for the Canes. The Canes blew it against the Rangers in Game 6 with the 2-3 goal lead. Just absolutely brutal in the third period. But the Rangers are deep. Kreider is basically Joe Pavelski 2.0 in front of the net now. He tips whatever he wants. He's going to get the greasy tip goals in front of the net and get his position down. And he's probably going to get his number up in the rafters in MSG one day. Like he's been awesome. And then the Panthers obviously take care of the Bruins for back-to-back seasons in Game 6 with Tkachuk just jumping on the ice with like 6 seconds left was very funny. Just jumping around, celebrating with 6 seconds left was incredible. We got the Rats versus the New York Rangers. I'm excited for that series. It's going to be a fun one. We got that starting tonight. So who do you got? What's your analysis on this series in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think it's going to be a coin flip. It's going to 7. I think as important as it is to stay out of the box if you're the Dallas Stars, this series will be about who gets the more, who capitalizes on the power plays and who takes the dumb penalties and who can't control their emotions. Because you just saw the series that you had with Boston, right? Emotions are high with Florida. You hate those guys. But now New York's not any better, right? You don't have the history with them, but Jacob Trouba is going to knock somebody's block off, and all hell is going to break loose. So it's going to happen in one of these 7 games, and it's about controlling your emotions. And it's the same thing with the other side. Tkachuk is going to be in your goalie's face. That Sam Bennett is going to do Sam Bennett stuff. It's about controlling your emotions and who can do that, right? I think it really is going to come down to probably a Game 7 and a power play situation, and an untimely mistake that somebody takes a penalty. I think that this is such an even series. I really do. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think you could see a couple 5-1 games either way. You could see a couple tight games either way, but I don't know. I don't have a pick right now. I think it's going to go to Game 7. That's kind of soft to me. I guess I'll go Rangers in 7. I'll go Rangers in 7. So it's 90s coming back to us. 94 Rangers back in the cup, and 99 Stars back in the cup. That's what I'll go with.
Yeah, so have you heard the parallels between the 94 team and the 2024 Rangers teams? Like what happened in the
No.
world at that time? So
It's probably
1994,
like the Lincoln and Kennedy, how they like. Have you
a
ever
little
seen
bit.
that?
Yeah, so there was an
Probably one of
earthquake.
those.
There was an earthquake in New York in 1994. There was an earthquake in New York 2024. There was an eclipse in both years. The Rangers obviously advance and win the Cup final. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals currently, so it's still alive on that side. O.J. Simpson, the Bronco incident happened in 1994. O.J. Simpson dies in 2024. The Knicks made it, I think, to the Eastern Conference Finals that year. They almost made it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, so not exactly the same. Or they were the 2 seed heading in. The Knicks were. The Rangers were I think, are they the 1 seed right now? Yeah, they're the 1 seed and the President Cup winner in 1994 as well. So there's just a shitload of crazy parallels that tied this Rangers team to the last time they won the Cup in 1994, and it's very eerie, and I don't like it. If the Stars advance, I don't like that one bit, and if the Rangers advance, obviously. But yeah, it's going to be a fun series. Obviously, we didn't get to talk about this, but what did you think about Pasternak asking Tkachuk to fight during that game? Whatever game that was. So it was sick.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm a big NBA fan, so I listen to Bill Simmons, and he's a casual playoff hockey fan. He's from Boston, so obviously he roots for the Bruins. And he basically called, quote, Matthew Tkachuk is the Antichrist, because why do you fight Pasternak when he's not a fighter? And I was like, he obviously didn't watch the game because Pasta was asking for the fight, leaning over like, let's fucking go. So I thought that was funny. Casual playoff hockey fans are always the best because they don't know exactly what's going on, and it's incredible. And eventually those turn into real hockey fans, some of them like 20% probably. But yeah, the Panthers are so deep, as well as the Rangers, but the Panthers are more healthy than they were last season. They limped into the Cup final last season, and obviously they got taken care of pretty quickly. But a healthy Panthers team is just terrifying. And the problem is they don't have home ice. They got to go to MSG. They got to deal with the New Yorker crowd for 4 games. It's going to go to 7. I don't know who I'm going to pick. It's a toss up, like you said. They're both equally charged teams. They got good defenders. They got great goalies. Shesterkin probably has the hand up right now on Bobrovsky in the way that he's played in the playoffs so far, but Bob can take over a game as well. He hasn't really taken over a game in the playoffs this season. So I'd expect at least one Bob game, one Igor game, and see what happens the rest of the time. Who can stay out of the box? I don't know, because they're both just going to hit people harder than anyone's ever hit anyone in the NHL playoffs, and they're going to be mean and gross, and it's going to be a fun series. I'm excited to see it. I don't know. I think I'll take Panthers in 7. I think they want to get over that hump that they didn't get last year, and that might push them over the edge. But I could easily see the Rangers taking it in 7 as well. But I think this is easily 7-game series.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think the goalie matchup is very even too. Like you said, Shesterkin's probably got it a little bit right now, but we've seen some of the saves that Bob made, especially in that first round. Remember when they were just going back and forth? Like he's
the
a veteran
diving
goaltender too.
no look.
Yeah, stick saves and unbelievable. But going back to the Pasta thing and like Bill Simmons, like when he's like, Pasta's not a fighter. Have you ever seen Pasta without his shirt on? The guy is an absolute machine. He is strong. So when you're like, Pasta's not a fighter, it's kind of a backhanded comment, to your own guy. Pasta, while he's not a fighter, he can fight, he can defend himself, and he's strong as shit. So when you see a guy like that, it's pretty rare that it happens. It's like OV used to do that. Crosby never really did it. But when a Tkachuk, he does it more. But when you have a guy like that, Pasta, who it's like, I don't need to do this because I'm the best player on the ice most nights. But right now, if I do this, it's going to send a message, more than if our fighter does it or if Pat Maroon does it. That's just another day for Pat. So Pasta takes that upon himself and says, hey, we need to get going. We need to get this series moving. I'll fight their toughest guy. Every single person on that bench, whether he gets, clocked and loses or he wins that fight, everybody's up and everybody's adrenaline is now pumping. It's a negative for Florida in that situation to probably do it, and it's a positive for Boston to do it when you have something like that, when you're down. Paul Bissonnette talks about it all the time in the playoffs. When your team is up, you don't want to fight because it's going to give the other team, So Kachuk egging him on, that's his game. He wants to get inside their head, and he'll get passed off the ice for 5 minutes. That's his part of his game. Hats off to him to doing that. But Pasta ringing the bell, it's like, as a player, there's nothing that earns more respect than what that guy did, especially with the player that he is. He doesn't need to fight, but that just proves, hey, I'm here, and if you think that I'm going to be pushed over, and he said it in the post game, he's like, I'm not afraid of him. You know what I mean? So it's not like he intimidates me, and he's not even that player. So I gained a lot of respect for Pasta after doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And the one player I don't want to see fight is Joe Pavelski. I think he might turn into dust on the Stars if in this
I think
playoffs.
You're safe with that one.
He's the one that I don't want to see fighting, which I don't think will happen. But even like Miro Heiskanen, if he got in a fight, I'd be like, well, that sucks that he's in the box for 5 minutes. But I think Miro could hold his own. Like, he hits people incredibly hard, and he's an underrated hitter in this game. And Pasta getting out after a fight was fun. I enjoyed it because it was the two best players on the ice for both teams. They just went at it, and that's fun. Yeah. Like Jamie Benn being the captain, that's part of his game, but you don't see it out of Pasta very often, if at all, really. And for it to happen during the playoffs was sick. And I hope we get something out of the Rangers. If we get a Trouba flying elbow, I'm sure we'll see something.
It'll be interesting to see because Trouba and Kachuk, I mean, these guys don't hold anything back. They are both Americans. I don't know if they played. No, Trouba's like a 94, Kachuk's 96 or something.
Yeah.
So they didn't like play juniors together at the program or anything. But look for those two because they're going to be going at it for 7 straight games. And like we talked about, it's going to be about who can control your emotions because somebody's going to hit somebody. Somebody's going to crush somebody. You know what I mean? If Trouba's going to crush somebody and Kachuk's going to be in your face and crush somebody. So that series is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot different than the Dallas-Edmonton series, which is, I think, going to be a little bit more systematic and Dallas trying to, slow them down and things. And I think that the East is just going to be a slugfest. It's going to be goals. It's going to be power play goals. It's going to be hits. It's going to be fights. It's going to be, those two teams wanting to pull each other's eyes out every single game. So I think we're in for a treat. We're in for a couple good series and, the best thing we're hoping to obviously get a team in Houston. The best thing for the future of Texas hockey is right now the Stars doing well. And, the state of Texas showing that we can support hockey down here and hopefully, moving a team down to Houston. So I know it might pain some Houston people to have to cheer for a Dallas team. But, it is the best thing for us right now. So go Stars and yeah, I think we're in for a great playoff. I really do. Or, great conference finals. It's already been a great playoffs.
Yeah. And I think if the Stars and the Panthers advance, that maybe expedites the process to get into Houston because then it's 2 Sunbelt teams, as they call them, even though it's a Texas team and a Miami team, essentially. But it proves that you can play in warm weather states where hockey hasn't been a thing before. Obviously, they came in the 90s, but it proves that you can get those 2 southern states into the final, and one of them's going to win the final, if that happens, obviously, knock on wood. But it proves that they can just go do it, and it doesn't have to be an original 6 team. It doesn't have to be the Rangers. I mean, the Maple Leafs haven't made it to the second round, and God knows when. Obviously, the Blackhawks have been kind of down in the dumps, but they're a hockey town, and they'll be back quite soon, I would assume. So, yeah,
I think
getting the southern state into the finals would be fun.
we see it with every sport. It's about ownership, right? If your owner cares, if your owner's in it to, nickel and dime, it's not going to work. And especially in this sport, in a niche city like this, we see what just happened in Arizona. The guy's not in it for he's in it for whatever other endeavors he's going for. You need somebody who cares and somebody who you're going to take losses, right? I remember the Blackhawks. I don't know if it's true or not, but when they won the Stanley Cup in 2010, like they claimed that they lost like a couple $1 million that year, and that's what it's going to take. You need that you can't get into this and not give it everything you got, especially in a southern state. And I think that's why you see Florida has been great recently. Tampa was we talked about it in the first round. Tampa was the toast of the NHL for the last decade in Florida. So it's all about ownership and getting somebody in there who cares. So that's the biggest thing that I'm looking for, because if the owner cares and the owner puts time and money into it, then you can flourish and the team's going to work. So hopefully it works down here.
You also got to have a great GM, because with the Stars, Jim Nill's dealing with Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin's contracts. They're $9.5 million a pop, and they're not the best players on the team. They might be some incredibly top 4, top 5 important players, but you got Stankoven, Johnston, Harley, all these guys on just rookie entry-level contracts playing incredibly large minutes, and then they go make that trade for Tanev, but they don't give up a first-round pick. And they give up some prospects that weren't ever probably going to make it with the Stars. So you got to have a great GM, got to have a great owner, and obviously a coach matters a hell of a lot as well. Sure. Putting the right lines together and meshing those personalities, and all these boys are buzzing. So I'm hoping for Stars Panthers. I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to have to deal with the MSG crowd. I know the Florida crowd's rowdy as well, but MSG is a special place. I don't know if it's intimidating to the players, but to the fans, it's more of an intimidating place. I've gone to MSG a handful of times, so it's a blast every time you go, but I don't want to have to deal with that in the Stanley Cup Finals if the Stars move on. And heading to Edmonton's not going to be an easy road trip either. Their fans are absolutely bonkers as well. So it's fun. We got the conference finals starting off tonight. Got Rangers Panthers. That one's gonna be a fun series. I'm excited to see who gets in the fights, who's more physical, which goalie is going to be the best in that one. And then obviously with the Stars Oilers, I'm rooting for one side and one side only, and I don't care to see Connor McDavid be the best player in the world. So conference finals, it's finally here, boys. We're right back in it.
We're here finally.
So Kevin, any last words heading into the conference finals?
No, Stars in 6, and I'll go Rangers in 7, so you can go Panthers in 7. But no, stay out of the box. It's the name of the playoffs. Stay out of the box, and whoever does that the most, I think they'll win this series. So we should have next Wednesday, is it? We're doing the live stream for Stars. I think we won't announce too much, but we should have next Wednesday some sort of stream for the Stars game. So
yep. We should be on stream. May 29th, we'll have an Eastern Conference Finals game for basketball as well going on, Astros game. We got a lot going on that night, potentially a 24-hour stream over at the Apollo Media office. So that'll be fun. We'll get the Stars going, live stream. We'll make sure to tweet it out on all of our socials, make sure everybody's tuned in for that. And Kevin, thank you for joining. Let's get this conference finals underway, baby.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Stoney. Everybody, go to the Dash game on Friday. Go Dash. Dash on.
Yeah. Shout out to Katie. Go Dash. Go Houston. Go Dallas. Don't care who wins in the Eastern Conference Finals, but, we got playoff hockey, so that's all that matters.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Tony.
Yep. See you, ladies and gentlemen.